What a glorious display of girl power. 5 young women at the top of their game. Role models for a generation. Our newest Olympic gold medalists, the British ladies curling team, glamming it up for our cameras, fresh from their triumph in Beijing at the Winter Olympics. Out of their trademark tracksuits and their thermals they cut glamorous figures, even if skip Eve Muirhead, a farmer's daughter from Perth, complains that it's been so long since she wore heels that she can't remember how. "And I don't miss it at all," she quips. While some of the team have seen each other scrubbed up for events, Hayley Duff, 23, admits she has rarely seen them out of tracksuits or leggings. "I almost didn't recognize them," she jokes. Vicky Wright, meanwhile, described as the mum of the gang even though, at 28, she is not the oldest, is quietly fretting about getting all her washing done before she goes back to work next week. She's a nurse at a local hospital, even as she poses in her sparkles. All 5 are still a bit giddy, what with the gold medals, childhood dreams realized, and the brightness of the sudden spotlight. The Queen sent congratulations. They were whisked onto the One show when they stepped off the plane from Beijing, before they even had the chance to go home and see their families. Before our photo shoot, they have been doing one with a glossy magazine, which involved ball gowns, for goodness sake. "I've never done anything like that before," says Millie Smith, 21, the baby of the team. "Why would you? But it was fun." This is the point at which sporting success tips into the wider world of celebrity. No one goes into curling to make money, but if they are canny, and if they want it, which is a big if, these girls could. Can they sing, I ask, because if they have any wider showbiz ambitions, this might be the moment to pounce. Jen, who they all agree is the bubbliest by nature, laughs and says sadly not, although Eve does famously play the bagpipes, to championship level too. These women are nothing if not driven. What they all do have, though, is curling in the blood, and they are proud to be part of a community where the sport is almost a religion, but where beginners and champions alike congregate for a drink and a natter after a game. Eve, who during play is the Ice Queen, steely, her piercing blue eyes quite transfixing to viewers, practically grew up on the rink. She started curling without proper curling shoes, but taped cut-up milk cartons to her trainers. Some of the others recall playing with blue plastic bags over ordinary shoes. Her dad Gordon is a former professional curler, who won gold in the 1994 European Championships. Her 2 brothers are also curlers. Glenn represented GB at the Olympics in 2018. In her late teens she was offered a golf scholarship to the US, but turned it down because curling was her passion. The fact that she has the Olympic rings tattooed on her lower back tells you everything about that one. Wouldn't golf have made you richer? Well, it would be nice to get the money the golfers do, but I have a friend who is a pro golfer and I know how hard it is. But it was never about money. You have to love what you do, and this is what I love. I do still play golf, but it's a nice hobby. Even so, she's never got used to the cold, admitting she's rarely out of thermals. I never get used to it. The rink in Beijing was the warmest and driest I've ever experienced, but I still had my thermals on. I like a bit of heat, she says. What she is expert at, though, is the planning, the strategy, both on and off the ice. She can't bear mess and admits that when she finally got home, at 11:30 p.m., after about 8 hours sleep in 4 nights, she contemplated unpacking and having a quick run around with the vacuum cleaner. I had 3 massive cases and just wanted to unpack them, and sort out the whole house. That's just me. My brother probably hasn't unpacked since his Olympics in 2018. Jennifer, meanwhile, is, says Eve, the one who keeps our energy levels high. She is also the untidiest. No question. Jennifer objects. I'd call it organized chaos. I know where everything is. If Jennifer is the upbeat one, then Millie is the brains, a walking, talking curling computer, apparently. She has so many branches to her curling family tree I lose count. Her dad is a former world champion, and both brothers are also Olympians. Even her granny plays. She was cheering me on from her living room, says Millie. But she was also astute enough to get a psychology degree while inching her way up the league tables. She was horrified at a lecture when a fellow student questioned, as people do, whether curling was a sport. He didn't know I was a curler, she says. Let's hope he has clocked the Olympic gold by now. As the team substitute, Millie was not on the ice when victory came, but she is very much part of the operation with a specific role involving picking the stones. Curling is a game of precision. And that's where the edge of the seat excitement comes in, says Eve. Because games are won on a centimeter. Haley, who also comes from a curling family, and has 2 degrees, is the grounded one. She's very balanced. She's never late. She's down to earth, never up or down. She gets on with her job. Then there is Vicky, the grown-up, the carer. Vicky is the one who looks after everybody, says Eve. She makes sure everyone is alright. Vicky is also the one who has found love on the ice. She is engaged to fellow Olympian Greg Drummond, who won silver in Sochi 8 years ago. Has been going on about it ever since, she jokes, so it was my turn. And yes, I had to go better. I have the bragging rights now. Do they have a double display case for their medals? She admits that Greg isn't entirely sure where his is. I think it's at his mum and dad's, but we best find it now. They plan to get married in the summer. On ice, with bridesmaids in gold sweeping their way down the aisle? Possibly not, and no, he didn't propose on the ice, but on the golf course, at St. Andrews. They will tie the knot at a friend's farm in Stranraer, and all the boys and girls will definitely be there. She means the boys and girls who make up the curling world elite. Jennifer says they regard the current men's team, who also returned from the games with silver, as brothers. 2 of the team are her best friends. She went to primary school with one. Has there been some ribbing about how the girls went better than the boys this time? Not at all. We wouldn't rub their faces in it, says Vicky. We were gutted for them, but they still came down to watch us, saying go and smash it. You girls have got to go one better. Although she is too modest to bring it up, Vicky is already a hero. Can you imagine a Steve Redgrave or a Usain Bolt training for the most important event of their lives while also working as an NHS nurse? And in a pandemic? Yet Vicky did, and will again return to the wards on Tuesday, albeit with a medal to show off. Although she had previously cut her hours down to 1 day a week, to pursue her sporting dreams, when the pandemic struck she immediately volunteered to go back full-time, to work on a COVID ward. We had been in Canada for an event, which got cancelled, and when we came home the whole country was in lockdown. I thought, right, I'm a nurse, this is what I trained for, and I called my boss and said, I'm coming in. Would that help you? And they said yes. When can you start? In 2 days. Fab. She did night shifts on a surgical ward, coming off duty, and then heading out to join her teammates in training. Would train from 8 a.m. till about 3:30 or 4 p.m., then I'd come home and get some rest and be back out again to do a night shift at 7:30 p.m., and I'd do it all again the next day. There was never going to be a medal for that. Well, I was needed, she says, downplaying the whole thing. I couldn't think of doing anything else. That she loves her job, perhaps as much as her curling, is clear. She can't go into specifics, but yes, it did involve sitting with dying patients and, in some ways, taking their traumas home with her. Even when I was at the training, I would call my colleagues to ask how a certain patient was. You get attached. Actually holding someone's hand as they die is something you are proud to do. It's a privilege to be there for someone's last few minutes of life. Doesn't it seem a bit trivial to then head out to the ice rink, or odd to take things there with the utmost seriousness, as you have to at the level of elite sport? Sportsfolk are always saying it's not life or death, but, if anything, doing both gives me more balance, she says, thoughtfully. I'm not sure I could be a curler if I wasn't a nurse, and vice versa. Certainly during the pandemic, working on the ward did give me a different perspective. If we had a bad day training, I could say to the others, look, we had a bad day but nobody has died. And I would mean it. And for me, one thing helped the other. Always has. If I have a bad day at work, I can go and just have some me time on the ice. If I have a bad day in curling, I go into work and think actually my life is quite sweet. Just get on with it. The others talk about how proud they are of Vicky, but she says she is uncomfortable with any sort of clapping, for nurses, or for athletes. It's my job. I could never really get my head around the clapping on the doorsteps. And the curling is a sport I am really privileged to do. I find it kind of weird to get applauded for sport. Still, how can you not applaud? On Tuesday she will be back at work, on the wards. But first, this weekend, the team are back to competition, taking part in the Scottish Championships in Dumfries. They are acutely aware that there is a whole new generation of little girls, and boys, looking up to them, just as they did to the curlers who went before them. When it comes to role models, they are hard to beat.